Hello everyone, we're going to talk about cloud communication today and how we're going to use it in class. So think for a second, what is the cloud? What does that bring to your mind? So one of the things that we talked about is a shorthand, is the very buzz kind of cliche term is the Internet of Things. So what we mean by that, even though it's a sort of a trendy term, is it does have some useful features for us to look at. So we know that we can look at the things part. So these are what we've been dealing with so far. We programmed little devices. These are our Arduinos, our sensors, our smartwatches, our smart toasters, our portable stoves, whatever it is you have. These are the physical devices. And then the internet part is when those devices connect to the internet and they're able to send and receive data. So we're going to focus now on the internet part for a little bit. So when we say the term IoT cloud platform, what does that actually mean? All we mean is it's a shorthand for describing various services that your device can connect with across the internet. So data storage, connection control, things like that. Anything that your device can do on the internet, we say it's connecting through a cloud platform. It's just software, basically. Some of the things that you can do once you have a cloud service or a cloud platform, you can update the device code. Well, this is actually what we already do with the Argon. Every time you flash it, you're sending the data through the internet to the device. You can send status messages. So this is basically like a serial monitor that lives in the cloud. You can control, so you can read the value of variables. So this is kind of handy. Any variable that you want to expose in your code, you're able to actually access its value remotely. You can also control the device, and this seems like where you have a lot of power, because now you're able to remotely affect the device across the internet. So you can turn a light on, you can turn a switch on, you can turn a motor on, whatever it is you want to do, you can now control through the internet. This is also could be something like, as a product, right? This could be your doorbell that has a camera on it and rings and texts you when someone pushes the button, things like that. You can also store data from the device. So this is kind of useful if you want to log hours or months or years of data. You're able to do that in the cloud because the device itself doesn't have the capabilities of that. You can also run analytics. This is kind of a neat interface between IoT and the analytics. So think you don't have just one device, but imagine you have thousands of devices. So now you want to be able to see, when are they failing? How long is the battery life? What problems do they have? How much processing power are they using to run these services? Things like that. You could do that with lots and lots of devices and do some stats. You're also able to then access device with the web and mobile. This is another feature that we have. So just looking at the companies that kind of are in this space, it's pretty broad. There's a lot of different size companies doing different things. The ones that are pretty popular that you have heard of would be Microsoft, Google, Amazon. They all have various cloud platforms. There's also a lot of smaller, very cool startups that do interesting things, sometimes maybe more specific sub pieces of the puzzle. I like working with a lot of these. I think they're all great, and we'll deal with a few this semester. There's also other products, for example, ThingSpeak, which is basically uses MATLAB. So if you know MATLAB a lot, you can do analysis and graph data directly from your IoT device and leverage your MATLAB skills. So the Particle Cloud is a cloud platform, naturally, and it handles some of the features we just talked about. You can update the device, send status messages, read variables, control the device, and that's it. So it's pretty useful, right, that we're able to do that. Now, I point this out because what can't it do? What can you not do at the Particle Cloud platform? It's important to know because we use it a lot, but it does have limitations. It does not store data. So the Particle Cloud is useful to know what's the temperature right now, or what's the voltage at this position right now, but it can't give you any historical data. It's just not what it's built for. It doesn't really do analytics either. So if you want to look at stats of how devices are failing, things like that, it can't do it. It also doesn't really have a mobile interface. Now, it does have the Particle app, but I don't feel like that's more of a diagnostic developer app. I wouldn't say that's a product you could ship to someone. So The Particle Cloud we use because it has built-in support for Argon. It's very easy to interface. So that's the advantage of it. It basically has a very free tier as well, a very generous free tier. So that's kind of nice. Many of these companies do have a free tier. So if you want to explore some of their other products, even Google and Microsoft have educational plans. You can usually sign up as a student and get free access, and usually you can use it a lot before you would have to pay for it. Typically, what you would use on an individual one-device basis, you're probably going to be fine be having it for free. So think of Particle as a real-time communication system. So by that I mean today's temperature is this, last Tuesday's temperature you can't get. For those other parts, though, we will use different products in this semester. So we're going to address them later on to handle things like data storage. So that way you understand that you can combine different services. You're not locked into any one. Quick note. The features that we're going to spend time talking about are not special to Particle. So what I mean by that is that as you learn how to execute functions and read variables, those apply on other platforms as well. So yes, we're looking at Particle, and yes, you're going to learn how to do that, but it doesn't really lock you in. Because we'll see that there are different mechanisms and syntax on all kinds of platforms. So if you want to go to the Google IoT platform, you can do these same features. They're a little more complicated, a little bit more of a hassle, because they're designed for higher levels of infrastructure, but you can basically understand the key concepts. So the 4 big things we're going to worry about in the Particle Cloud is publishing events. So this is sending status messages. Subscribing to events. This is really cool. This means when something happens out in the world, your device will be notified, and you can then take an action. So let's say you have 2 devices. One is in your refrigerator, one is on your desk. And when your refrigerator loses power, it sends a message to the cloud that says, hey, the refrigerator lost power. And then the Argon on your desk could turn a light on to say, refrigerator's lost power, for example. So 2 devices communicate, they can respond based on events. We're also going to be able to access variables from the cloud and control the device from the cloud.